Hi everyone, my name is Dave, and welcome to Extra Credit, a video series where we take an unscripted look at topics related to local history and exploring that history. All right, before we get into today's episode, as we normally do, just a quick reminder to first of all visit my website. You'll find a link in the description. My website has all kinds of information related to the topics that we take a look at in this video series and then some. So it's a great resource for all kinds of historical information. Also, you can follow me on social media. So you'll find me on Facebook, you'll find me on Twitter, and you'll find me on Instagram. And those are usually updated fairly regularly. Sometimes there's kind of little letdowns at certain times of the year, but usually the posts are fairly regular. And last but not least, if you haven't already done so, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button. There's all kinds of content that drops regularly on the channel. And by subscribing, you'll get the latest content as quickly as possible, because sometimes there's a delay between the time that content gets produced and then makes its way onto things like social media. All right, so today's episode is another sort of hiking related episode. We are in the beginning part of August, and that means, unfortunately, that fall is just around the corner. I don't really want to think about it, but according to the calendar, it seems a long way, but as we all know, time moves very, very quickly, and so before we know it, we will be into fall. And so what I wanted to do is basically talk a little bit about some of my recommended gear for fall hiking. We've done episodes on summer hiking. We did one last summer where I talked about things that I use for my summer hikes. Over the winter, we did one on winter hiking, where again I talked about some of my recommended gear for winter hikes. So today we want to focus on the fall. Now, I guess what you can say is there's going to be a little bit of overlap between sort of fall hiking and spring hiking, because oftentimes the conditions are a little bit different. Fall does have a little bit of sort of a few things that are kind of nuanced to fall, and we will talk a little bit about that. But certainly what you're going to find is in those two seasons is you're going to find typically kind of cooler mornings. If you're a person like me that likes to go out very early in the morning, you're going to find it's very, very cool in the morning, and then it generally tends to warm up later on, and that presents its own sort of logistical sort of challenges. And I'm not going to get too much into that. I'm going to sort of more focus on, when you're out sort of early in those mornings, when it's particularly cool, and things that you should be sort of looking at or, utilizing at that time. We're also going to focus on some safety things because there are some considerations when you're sort of hiking in the fall. And so what we'll do is we'll get into taking a look at some of the gear. All right, so my first piece of equipment or first piece of gear is something that is not going to be necessarily applicable to everybody, but certainly if you're somebody like myself who has some hair issues. For those of us who are follically challenged, or as I like to say, a little bit more on the aerodynamic side, one of the things that I find is that, headgear is very, very important to me. In the summertime, or in the the warmer seasons, I'm always having to make sure I wear a hat, because the last thing you want to do is burn your head. And then as you transition into the fall, or you're going from winter, I'm always wearing a hat because my head is constantly cold. But certainly when you're hiking in the spring or the fall, there are some considerations to be aware of. So what I find is that it's one thing when I'm walking, that's not too bad because you can always sort of find sort of a hat to wear. The big issue that I find is when I'm biking, and I'm the type of person, we've talked about this before, I always wear my helmet when I'm biking. And certainly when you're biking when it's cooler outside and you have a hairdo like mine, it generally tends to be kind of chilly, because what happens is the helmet tends to focus all of the airflow in through those holes. Now it's great when it's the summertime and you're trying to stay cool, but when it's colder outside, it generally tends to make your head very, very, very cold. And so what I've done is I actually use one of these. There's all kinds of different brands that you can find. This one's an Under Armour one. So basically it is a skull cap. Um, so it's basically very, very simple. It just goes on like this. I like to pull it. I don't know how other people do it. I like to pull it down to my ears because I find my ears get very cold as well. Um, again, just sort of personal preference. I can't imagine sort of having it like that. It would probably kind of bug my ears a little bit and it wouldn't kind of bunch down. I try to pull it down as tight as possible. Um, so generally it does a pretty good job of trying to keep my head warm. It also allows for some heat to escape, some perspiration to escape. Um, the only problem I ran into, and I didn't bring it out here with me, is I got to take this off because it's hard for me to hear with the thing over my ears. But I did run into some helmet issues. Generally, what I find, and we've done in the previous episode, we've talked a little bit about helmets. I actually have two helmets. There's one that I use when I go hiking, and there's one that I use when I'm just generally biking. My hiking one is out here at camp, and then my other one is at home. Um, I find that the one that I use for hiking, I find it's a little bit tighter on my head, and so when I do put the skull cap on, I find it is a little bit on the tight side. And the only problem is that the other helmet that I have is great. The skull cap fits on very, very well underneath. The problem that I run into is that it's because it's larger and wider, it comes down farther on my head. And it interferes with my wearing the skull cap. It interferes with my sunglasses. And it's also prone to, because it's doing that, it's prone to a lot of creaking issues. I remember not this past spring, but the spring before, so the spring of 2021, when the helmet was brand new, I was out doing some hikes and I was watching back the videos and I'm like, what is that creaking sound? And it was the helmet. It was basically the straps on the helmet rubbing against my sunglasses. Basically, as I'm kind of turning and stuff, the straps are kind of binding a little bit. It was making this creaking sound. So I had to go back to using my old helmet, and again, I just find it's a little bit tight with the skull cap on, but as they say, no pain, no gain. So anyway, something to certainly consider if again, and you don't have to. Have this particular type of hairdo. A skull cap might be good for a lot of different people. If you want to keep your head extra warm or extra toasty when you're out on those spring or fall hikes. Like I said, I use this when I'm also not hiking. So, for example, in the springtime when I'm out on bike rides, I will wear the skull cap as well. Just, my head just doesn't get cold on the hikes. It gets cold biking in general. So, certainly something to take a look at. All right. So, keeping in line with the helmet, the next piece of gear that we want to talk a little bit about is keeping your hands warm. Um, so, this is probably one that a lot of people are going to sort of relate to, because when you bike and your hands are on those grips, or even when you're walking, generally your hands will tend to get cold. Your extremities will tend to get cold. I know for myself, I have a sort of a little bit more of a particular issue with this. So what happened with me was that in my teen years, so when I was in high school and then into university, I used to work at a grocery store, and I spent a lot of time at the grocery store working in the meat department. And so, from working with the cold meat all the time, I find that I do have some circulation issues with my hands, particularly my fingers. I find my fingers get very cold very quickly. I don't know if it's a little bit of sort of long term nerve damage or whatever the situation was from working all those years in the meat department. I find my hands get cold very, very quickly. So having a good pair of gloves is paramount. There's all kinds of gloves that are out there. These are a pair that I picked up online. These are actually my second pair of gloves. So I had a pair of gloves that I bought probably around, I don't even remember, um, probably 20 years ago or more. I had gloves for cycling when it was sort of cool outside. And so I used them for many, many years, and unfortunately, they kind of, they ended up with sort of holes in the fingers and things like that. So I had to chuck them out. So this is a pair that I bought probably a couple of years ago. They are again, I just got them online. These are InBike brand. Um, they are purportedly waterproof. I haven't checked that out. I know that there is probably some level of water resistance to them. They do have a sort of a gel grip, so they do have a padded grip here where you do grip the bike, and they do have padded fingertips, right? Particularly um, the index and the middle finger, because those are the ones you tend to, particularly when you're shifting gears and things like that, you're using that a lot. Same thing with the thumb. Um, just looking here, I do have starting to get a little hole in there. I find they're very, very warm. They're great. Allows me a lot of articulation. The only issue that I run into when I'm doing my hikes is two things. I'm often taking the gloves off and on a lot, and because I can't unlock my phone. So when I'm taking pictures with my phone, um, I know they do make models that are supposed to have kind of more of a textured grip on here that allows you to use the phone. I've kind of tried with this. They don't work very well. So I'm constantly or what I'll do sometimes is I'll just leave the one hand open, which is not great all the time because the one hand kind of gets cold. And then the other thing I find is that taking them off and on a lot, when you're kind of moving around, your hands tend to get sweaty. And so trying to get them off and on sometimes when you're kind of, doing any type of exercise and things like that, it does present a challenge. They do get again, they do get sweaty, and it kind of gets hard to take them off and on. But they're sort of a very important piece of equipment as far as I'm concerned. Um, Luna's barking at the neighbors here. So yeah, again, you're going to be able to find all different types of. We have Luna barking. There's a train coming. Yeah, so we have all kinds of background noise that's going on here. Again, you're going to find all kinds of different examples online, and so just find a pair that work with you. These actually work out really well because my new bike is black with blue lettering, so the gloves match very, very well with the bike. So I'm all matchy when I'm out cycling. All right. So one of the things I mentioned was that there was a little bit of nuances between hiking in the spring and hiking in the fall, and certainly one of the big things with hiking in the fall. I don't know about where you live, but I think for the most part, around North America, at least, fall typically means, if you're going into the outdoors, fall means that it's hunting season. And if you live in a place like I do here in northwestern Ontario, I don't know where you're geographically situated, but here in northwestern Ontario, hunting is a big thing. I sort of hunt. I kind of grew up in that sort of culture. My parents fished, they hunted. Maybe not my mom hunting, but my dad certainly hunted. I never was one for fishing. I'm still not. Surprise, surprise. I find fishing kind of on the boring side. I can't sit still for prolonged periods of time, and that's why I'm so much into the hiking and things like that because I always have to be kind of moving around. I need to be sort of maybe I need to be visually stimulated all the time, but yeah, fishing was never my thing. But I did enjoy going hunting a lot. My dad was never kind of a big game hunter, but I did going for the term that we use around here, going for birds basically implies that the big sort of small game animal in our area anyway is what is called grouse. There's two type of grouse. There's a ruffled grouse and basically a spruce grouse. Most people around here call them partridge. So anyway, so I did a bit of that when I was younger. I kind of got away from it from a while, and then what I'm finding now is my boys, so Ethan and Noah, kind of enjoy going out hunting. So I will go with them. I will kind of let them sort of do the shooting, and I will usually have the dog and the cameras and stuff, and I'll just sort of content myself taking pictures and things like that. Usually I find myself kind of, trying to go into historical places and stuff like that. So, I have something to sort of preoccupy myself. Anyway, the point being is that if you're planning on if you're planning on hiking during the fall, you're going to find yourself in hunting season. And even if you're not a hunter, it's very, very important that you take the necessary precautions, that you protect yourself. And so everybody who is venturing into the outdoors in the fall in an area where you basically know that, and again, I don't know your geographical locations, but I know around here there's very few places where you're not able to hunt. I mean, basically, a lot of the areas around here in this part of the province of Ontario, northwestern Ontario, is a lot of crown land. If you know what that means, crown land just basically means it belongs to, um, I guess you could say it not implies the government, but basically implies the people. Basically, it is public land, and so you're going to find people hunting, in a lot of places that you go. So it's very important that you take measures to protect yourself. Um, and so I'm not going to focus a lot on headgear because if I'm riding my bike, I don't really have an option. I have to wear I want to wear my bike helmet. If I'm walking, I do wear a fluorescent orange hat of some sort. I have a few options. I'm actually looking for a good quality kind of wicking fluorescent orange toque. Or knitted cap if you're not Canadian. Canadian program, we're going to call it a toque. So I'm looking for kind of a good quality one, but have yet to find one. I have a good black one that's a wicking one, but obviously that's not going to work for hunting season. So anyway, again, it's very, very paramount that you take precautions to protect yourself. So you should be wearing, and you're going to find all kinds of examples like this. This is just really a simple um, hunting vest. This is a cheap one. I think I bought this at Canadian Tire. If you don't know Canadian Tire here in Canada, Canadian Tire is kind of your go-to all-purpose store, hardware, sporting goods, automotive, those types of things. So this is just basically a very, very simple vest, just sort of buttons up in the front. Again, multi-purpose. I have a fancier one. I actually got to buy another one because when the boys go hunting, I have a fancier one that has like pockets on it and has a big sort of pocket on the back for you to put your to put your game in the back and stuff like that. So now the issue that I ran into is that I found it very difficult to wear one of these because when I go out hiking, typically I'm wearing my tactical vest. And if you don't know what I'm wearing, make sure I'll put a link that you can check out. We did do an episode on load bearing, and so I do have a video about my tactical vest. And so make sure that you take a look at that. So anyway, so the big problem that I had with my tactical vest was that if I put the fluorescent orange or blaze orange vest on, and then I put my tactical vest on top, you really can't see the orange vest. And so that really doesn't do anything. So what I ended up doing, sort of put my thinking cap on, and so I came up with a solution. So what I did was I bought one of these plain Jane hiking vests, and I did a little modification, or I had my mom do the modification for me. So what had happened, so basically, if you can kind of see this on the camera, I'll put this up in front of face. So what I had her do was basically make a cut down the back, and then essentially just stitch the cut so it didn't fray, and then basically kind of make she used a little piece of material here to reinforce the top. And so what happens is when I put this on, you'll notice the split in the back. So what this allows me to do is it allows me to put this on top of my tactical vest. And on the back of my tactical vest, I have a pouch. It's actually a lens pouch for a big camera lens. But I don't often carry my SLR with me too often. I use that pouch for carrying all different kinds of things in there. And so what happens is it basically, the slit allows this to go around the pouch and allows me, it's like I believe it's like I don't know if this is a one size fit all. Yeah, it's a one size fit all. So it's basically like an extra large size vest. And so it allows me to wear this on top of the tactical vest. It's loose enough that I can kind of have access to all the different pouches and things like that, and yet it still gives me the protection of wearing all of the sort of fluorescent orange, the blaze orange, so that way people kind of can see me coming during hunting season. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to talk about on that note with regard to keeping yourself safe and making sure that you wear your orange during hunting season, that also extends to our companions. And I've done several episodes on companions, and I will be doing more episodes on companions in the future. But if you're like me and you have a furry companion, she's just sitting off to the side over here, kind of checking things out. See if I can get her. Come on, Luna, come here. Here she comes over here. I don't know if I can get her on the camera here. Oh, you saw a little piece of her head. Anyway, so we want to make sure that our furry companions are protected as well. And if you have a dog like mine, like Luna, who's brown, obviously that is not a very conducive color to hunting season. And so what I've done with my dogs in the past, and this one's new for Luna, is I do have a vest for her. So there's all kinds of different manufacturers. There's all kinds of different brands out there. This one is made by SafetyPUP. They come in all different sizes. So I believe this one is a medium. And so basically what you can see here, how it works is there is a strap that goes around their neck like this. So I just kind of flop it on her back. I secure the flap in the front, and then there's a belly strap here. And I secure the belly strap. You'll notice that it has reflective accents on it. So it has a reflective stripe here. The SafetyPUP part is reflective. The piping around the edge is reflective. And I don't know if the paws here are reflective as well. I don't think so. But anyway, so this makes her basically stand out. It's very, very durable. I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but it's totally filthy and dirty. And just this sort of is a testament. I haven't sort of cleaned it. This is sort of a testament to kind of what Luna gets into, and her getting sort of dirty. We'll have to certainly do an episode of Luna's adventures in the fall time when she's wearing her vest, and kind of see what she gets up to. I actually have two of these. So I do have another one, and it's funny because I think the other one is a large size. I don't know why I have two different sizes. Maybe I kind of forgot what size it was. The one I have is large, and it's also pink. And I'm pretty sure the pink one, maybe it's a newer version. I'm pretty sure the little paw thing on here is reflective as well. We use the pink one, kind of a little bit more of a, don't want to be stereotypical here, but maybe a little bit more of a girly color. And we use that when we go walking at home, particularly in the wintertime, when it generally tends to get dark very early. And we want to make sure that we're visible while we're walking. So Luna wears her pink vest, and it's got the reflective piping on it, and I wear a vest as well, with reflective piping on it as well, so we make sure that we're safe and sound. But certainly this is something you really want to consider with your pets when you're out in hiking season. Again, as a hunter myself, you know that you need to be particularly careful. You're not supposed to shoot at anything that you're unsure of, but again, accidents can happen, and the more visible you are, the better off you're going to be. All right, so hopefully that you've enjoyed today's episode with my tips about, what is some of the best gear to use when you're out hiking in the fall time. Again, these are things that can be applicable, or some of them could be applicable to hiking in the spring. The seasons oftentimes kind of are very, very similar. So anyway, we're going to be back next month with yet another episode. And then after that, we're probably going to take a break for a couple of months because I've explained before, the fall kind of gets a little bit busy for me with all of the things that are kind of going on, particularly it's football season. Anyway, so again, hopefully you've enjoyed the episode. Hopefully you've enjoyed some of the things that we've talked about. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and make sure you come back next month for the next episode. Take care.